You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Knock at the doors, the drums, to my generation will take the fall. The saints, the combinations, and it's a sex, the gods, the freaks, the frauds, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Hey yo, welcome back to Reliving the War and welcome to the 24th of January 2000. We're in the trenches once again, soldier, as Raw takes place in Philadelphia while Nitro's in the brand new Staples Center in LA. The 2000 Royal Rumble just took place and the WWF are coming off a fantastic pay-per-view, but the runner-up of the Royal Rumble match isn't too happy about the outcome. We'll hear from the Big Show very soon, but we've also got a big story over on WCW. Nitro opens up with the NWO arriving in their limousine. President Kevin Nash then knocks on another limousine's window. In Luke, Scott Hall's return to World Championship Wrestling, and yes, that is Victoria. This is going to be Scott's final stint in WCW, and unfortunately, it isn't going to last very long. But NWO 2000 has expanded once again, and that means WCW's in a lot of trouble. Not that they need any help in that department. This week's jam-up guy is Tim, and Tim took his Kicker Be Kickin' shirt to SmackDown in the Barclays Center. Tim's a big Sid Vicious fan. He got to see the Motor City Machine Guns become WWE Tag Team Champions, and it looked like Tim had a great time with his buddy, so thank you very much for sending in your photos, man, and glad to hear you had fun. Right, let's go. Let's see if WCW can get a win against the unstoppable WWF. We kick off Raw with a Triple H promo. Surprise, surprise. On Nitro, it's Psychosis versus Kaz Hayashi. Before the Nitro match gets underway, Juventud Guerrera cuts a promo, and yes, he's still pretending to be The Rock. It's almost like that promo that The Rock cut on Raw months ago has deeply affected young Hoovy.
You were down south beating some jabroni named Juventud?
Hoovy again gets the city wrong when he says, finally the juice has come back to Las Vegas. He says the juice is in the house and the house is in the juice, which makes no fucking sense if you smell what the juice is cooking. He's pretty obsessed with juice, isn't he? Big We Hate Goldberg vibes in the arena tonight as we begin another tournament on Nitro. This is a first round cruiserweight title tournament match because Oklahoma exceeded the weight limit. Don't even question it and don't even try to make sense of it, there's no point. Tony Schiavone also announced that tonight we're going to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion when Sid Vicious takes on Kevin Nash for the vacant title. And Kaz Hayashi was pretty hot and cold in this matchup. For example, his dive looked great here, but then he threw himself over the top rope after a pretty light Irish whip from Psychosis. Not sure what happened here, but it did look funny. That no good Juventud Guerrera interfered on the outside, but Kaz stayed in it by dropkicking Psychosis in midair. Psychosis then went for a top rope front suplex and the landing looked pretty rough. Even Charles Robinson was like, oh boy. Psychosis won with a roll-up. Not a great start for Nitro in terms of overall match quality, and you do expect a bit more when you see these two inside the ring. After announcing the World Championship match earlier on, Schiavone then reveals that Sid has to beat Jeff Jarrett before he gets to Kevin Nash. So Tony pretty much gave away that Sid's going to win that match, seeing as the main event was already announced. We've also got the Mamalukes taking on Finlay and Brian Knobbs for the tag team titles. Yeah, David Flair and Crowbar lost the belts on Thunder. Booker T takes on the Total Package, and we've also got Kidman versus Vampiro. Looking forward to that one for sure. Also, this is Bobby Heenan's final night on Monday Nitro. He gets replaced next week by Mark Madden, so I'm going to watch WCW on mute from this point on. The brain will be missed. Terry Funk and Arn Anderson of the Old Age Outlaws arrived at Nitro as Kevin Nash gives Jeff Jarrett some bad news. Double J flunked his medical exam and the doctor said Double J can't compete tonight. So Nash informs the Harris brothers that one of these guys are going to face Sid instead. Don Harris agrees to the match. So it begs the question, why even advertise Jarrett versus Sid in the first place? Fuck this company. Triple H had a fantastic night at the Royal Rumble and he knows it too. Stephanie says Hunter proved that he is indeed the game after his barbaric street fight in New York, and the fans are chanting a word at Stephanie. It rhymes with cut and it begins with an S, that word being slut. Triple H rose to the occasion. He's still Stephanie's champion, he's still our champion, and Hunter takes the microphone to say he's not putting Cactus Jack over right now, but Jack is the most sadistic freak he's ever wrestled in his entire life. Cactus brought it all. Hunter left pints of blood in the ring at the Royal Rumble, but Hunter didn't leave his WWF Championship at the pay-per-view. Triple H was more sadistic than Cactus Jack. Hunter enjoyed being badder than Mick Foley, and Hunter is still the game. Triple H doesn't expect Mick to show up tonight, seeing as he was in a pretty bad state at the hospital, so Hunter's now looking forward to his WrestleMania 2000 match when he faces The Rock one-on-one. He tells Rock to get in the best shape of his life because Hunter's going to be on top of his game, and Triple H plans on leaving Anaheim, California, still the man and still WWF Champion. The Big Show then interrupts the promo. He gets in the ring and he squares up to Hunter, and Show reminds Triple H that the game hasn't given him a WWF title rematch. Show says Triple H is obviously afraid of him, but the big man's out here because a crime's been committed. The Big Show apparently was robbed at the Royal Rumble. Show did go over the top rope, but The Rock's feet hit the floor too. Rock's feet actually hit the floor before Big Show's, so Big Show needs a favour from Triple H and Stephanie, something that amuses Hunter quite a lot. Show says he can prove Rock was eliminated from the Royal Rumble match, and if Show provides Hunter with that proof, he wants McMahon and Helmsley to give him a match against The Rock. The winner of that match will then face Triple H at WrestleMania 2000. Hunter agrees, and then The Rock's music plays and the Great One shows up on the entranceway. The mere sight of The Rock makes Big Show convulse, or the big man had way too much coffee before Raw began. Rock says Triple H's days as champion are numbered. The Rock's going to kick the game's monkey ass at WrestleMania 2000, and as for Big Show, he's just out here bitching and moaning. Rock says it doesn't matter if his feet touch the ground first at the Rumble, but I think you'll find it actually does matter, Rock. Rock says there's no replay rule in the WWF, which again may be true, but replays have changed match outcomes in the past. But all this gives Triple H an idea. He and Big Show now have a common enemy, and so the game's going to team up with the big man in tonight's main event. Rock has to find one of those people he called a jabroni in last night's Rumble match to team up with him for this upcoming tag team match, and if Rock can't find a partner, he's going to face Show and Triple H all alone. Rock says he doesn't need a partner, and he'll work a 2-on-1 match tonight if he has to. Young Crash Holly tells Bastard Bob he doesn't have the balls to enter the women's locker room to confront Chyna. Bob proves he has a massive sack by walking straight in there, and Chyna forces him back out. The two get heated, Holly punches Chyna, Jericho runs in to attack Bob, so this rivalry is going to continue it seems. Officials break up the fight, Crash laughs at his stupid cousin, so as usual Hardcore attacks Crash. Hardcore Holly has a match against Jericho a bit later on, but Crash says he might begin looking for a new tag team partner. Hardcore has to face Jericho all alone, but he doesn't seem too bothered either way. Al Snow and Steve Blackman are going to face Edge and Christian next on Raw. On Nitro, The Wall takes on Kid Romeo, plus we've got Shannon Moore versus Norman Smiley. Steve Blackman's feeling a bit low, seeing his robot monster leader Tazz debuted in the WWF. So Al wants Blackman to lighten up, don't bring out Shin Blackman, get a new gimmick and forget about those pesky robots. Kurt Angle has it all under control and Blackman shouldn't worry. This new team needs a good gimmick. If Blackman dresses like Dracula, he and Snow could call themselves Head Count. If Blackman brings cheese to the ring, they could be called Head Cheese. If he brings hungry hippos to the ring, they could be called Head Games. But Blackman's having none of it. He needs to wreck these robots and he has no time to play dress up with Al Snow. By the way, in all seriousness, the WWF's totally dropped Al's heel run, which is probably for the best. Snow's much better as a wacky, off-the-wall kind of character, in my opinion. The crowd chanted Head Cheese during the match. It was the people who bestowed this name upon Al Snow and Steve Blackman. But Blackman doesn't want this. He wants to continue saving the world from evil forces and country music. He decides the only way out of this predicament is to cause some real damage to one of his opponents, so he drills his knee into Edge's back while Snow comes off the top rope with a leg drop. This move completely paralyzes young Adam and that's our match over. All because these ungrateful no-good fans chanted Head Cheese at Steve Blackman. You just wait and see when this robot invasion begins, you won't be chanting Head Cheese then. Val Venus comes out to check on Edge. Barbara Bush then runs down, which totally kills any legitimacy this angle could have had. She even smiles after giving Edge mouth to mouth, and look, it seems to work. What a load of bollocks. So, who is Kid Romeo? He worked as a male stripper before making his way to the power plant. Natural career progression right there, folks. He's making his televised debut tonight, and he's easily defeated by the Wall. He'll soon get sent to New Japan to learn how to actually wrestle, and he'll have a match on WWF Jacked before returning to WCW. Nothing to see here, folks. Let's move on. Arn Anderson meets Bam Bam Bigelow backstage. He tries to talk Bigelow out of an upcoming match against Terry Funk. Anderson says Kevin Nash is just abusing his power by booking this match, but Bigelow says he's getting paid 15 grand to wrestle Funk, and for 15 grand, Bam Bam would wrestle his own mother. That's totally fair, I guess. Three Count tried to serenade the audience inside the Staples Center, but they get interrupted by screaming Norman Smiley. The group tried to give Shannon Moore an early advantage with a missile dropkick, but Norman got right back up to put young Shannon in his place. Smiley shuffles, the big wiggle, even a good old-fashioned spanking followed by a sit-down facebuster. Norman was on form here, and the crowd went crazy for the former hardcore champion. The match then went to the outside where Norman had to fight off Courageous and the Hurricane, but Shannon pulled off a fantastic springboard moonsault to keep himself in the match. He then pulled off a groovy little leg drop, and this was more than enough for Norman. Smiley applied the Norman Conquest, Moore topped out, and while it would have been good for the new guy to get a win, it was also nice to see Smiley win a match clean. A victory gained totally from Norman's wrestling ability. No gimmicks necessary. The NWO girls want to see some blood and guts. They're a vicious bunch of vixens, it would seem. Scott Hall says there's a few guys who want an opportunity standing in the corridor, so 3 jabronis get brought in and Al Green volunteers for an upcoming match. Mr. Green seems to pop up on Nitro every now and then, and he always jobs out. Anyway, Steiner and Hall won't tell Al who his upcoming opponent's gonna be. They say Al's gonna be a made man if he wins this match, but Green has no chance at all as he faces Tank Abbott next on Nitro. On Raw, we've got Chris Jericho versus Hardcore Holly, plus Too Cool versus Viscera and Crash Holly. Al got wrecked in the corner before Abbott threw him onto the mat. I was just starting to wonder why Abbott bothers when he could just knock this guy out with one punch, and that's when Abbott knocked this guy out with one punch. Nick Patrick gives Green a 10 count, but there's no point, he's done for. On the outside, Abbott has a few words with some guy sitting in the front row. His name is Big Al, and yeah, a lot of Al's tonight on Nitro. Tenay says Big Al was once Tank's bodyguard, but to WCW fans, he's a complete nobody. Bobby Heenan gets a word with this complete nobody, and he calls Tank a sellout. He won't talk about his past relationship with Tank though, and he won't even reveal what his name is. This is stupid, seeing as Tenay just told everyone at home that he's called Big Al, but what do I know? It's typical WCW nonsense. Anyway, Al Green, the other Al, gets put in an ambulance while Steiner and Hall throw him a few bucks. Thanks for coming, kid. Raw's not getting off so easily though, because Chyna came out during the Jericho vs Holly IC title match, and Chyna helped Jericho win once again. She performed a pedigree on Bob when the referee wasn't looking, and Chris won the match following a lion salt. Chyna then handed Chris the IC belt and the two celebrated in the ring. So we're right back to where we were before Chyna and Jericho became co-champions. Chyna's helping Chris win matches, and you can bet she has some sort of ulterior motive for doing so. I'm sorry, but I'm completely done with this storyline. It's time for Chris to move on. Turns out Crash leaving Hardcore Holly to form a team with fellow super heavyweight Viscera was a good move. Too Cool may have had the crowd in their corner, but they were unable to overcome this new exciting tag team. Crash had a pretty bad botch in this one when he went to the top rope, but shake it off, young grasshopper, you've got a match to win. Too Cool performed a double dropkick to knock Viscera down. This got followed up with a double facebuster. Crash then took the hip hop drop, but he wasn't the legal man. So Viscera performed a leg drop of his own, and Too Cool took a loss. Somebody call my mama. Ernest Miller returned to WCW next, and I'm not gonna lie and say I missed him all that much. He cuts his usual promo here. He says he's going to whip everybody in the arena while singling out an overweight guy in the audience. And he then shows off his sick new dance move, a move he taught himself while recovering from a knee injury. Miller's going to play a pretty significant role in WCW during the year 2000, but I'll talk about that a bit more in a few weeks' time and how it all came about. It is quite interesting. Next on Raw, it's X-Pac vs Kane. On Nitro, it's a hardcore match featuring Terry Funk and Bam Bam Bigelow. So, the X-Pac and Kane rivalry continues on WWF programming. Remember, X-Pac had Tori over to his place during the holiday season, and apparently he was the perfect gentleman. He didn't do anything to make Tori uncomfortable. The WWF are making a big deal out of this match. They show a hype video before the guys come to the ring, which is rare for a match in the middle of the card, but this one is going up against the Nitro main event. Kinda important to always remember that when watching the match that takes place just before Raw's second hour. Kane gets kicked in the chin at the start of our match, but he comes back with a clothesline. Pac then takes an uppercut in the corner, followed by a back elbow, and Kid gets hip tossed into the opposite corner as the beatdown continues. X-Pac tries to launch himself into Kane, but he ends up taking a power slam. He does manage to put Kane down though with a jumping heel kick, but he then makes the mistake of turning his back on the big red machine. Pac ends up getting dumped over the top rope where he falls on a cameraman, and you can hear Waltman apologise to the poor guy as the match continues on the outside. X-Pac neutralizes Kane by sending him into the ring steps. He then gets back inside the ropes where he gives Tori a kiss. The moment Kane wakes up, Pac gets out of the ring. Kane decides he's going to leave the ring and the match while carrying his woman out, but X-Pac gets back inside the ropes and he gets himself DQ'd when he hits Kane with a chair. Even JR thinks there might be something going on here as X-Pac heads back up the ramp. Something fishy going on, brother. After a commercial break, Kane and Tori ask Triple H and Stephanie where X-Pac is, but he's long gone. He already went home and he's already on his third game of WrestleMania 2000 on N64. On Nitro, Bam Bam fumbles a trash can and he almost falls when stepping on a steel chair. Not a great start to this hardcore match. He grabs a rope and he wraps it around Terry's neck, and the Funker gets dragged out to the arena where he takes a chair shot right to the shoulder. Bigelow continues to dominate the match as the two make their way down to the ringside area, and another shot to the shoulder sends Funk over the security barrier. Funk takes another shot when the two get in the ring, and this is pure domination from the big man. Bigelow goes for a diving headbutt, Funk moves out of the way. This gives Terry the opportunity to lay in a few shots, and when Bigelow goes to the outside, Terry pulls off a second rope moonsault. The competitors take an extended break before the match resumes, with Bigelow taking a few chair shots across the back. Funk then lands so many headbutts that he puts himself on the mat and Bigelow takes advantage. The Beast from the East finally delivers that headbutt, but then Fit Finlay and Brand Knobbs interfere. I've no idea why, but they end up helping Terry win the match. Bigelow goes up for one more headbutt, completes hit Brand Knobbs, slides the chair on top of Terry, Bam Bam gets knocked out, and Funk wins via pinfall. After the match, Funk says Kevin Nash is gonna have to kill him. He calls Kevin a dead man walking because on Thunder this Wednesday, Funk's coming after Nash and he's bringing reinforcements. The Outlaws defend their tag team titles against the Hardy Boys next on Raw. On Nitro, Sid Vicious takes on Don Harris. Remember, Sid has to win this match to get his main event match against Kevin Nash for the vacant world title. Also remember, Tony Schiavone announced the main event before even talking about Sid having this roadblock in his way, so the outcome was predictable here. As a matter of fact, it would have been predictable even if Tony kept his mouth shut. Ron gets taken out before Sid gets inside the ropes. The match begins with Don on offense. The other Harris brother chokes Sid out on the outside before he himself takes over in the ring, and the referee doesn't care. The match continues on as if nothing happened. Big Sid falls victim to some chin abuse. He gets up only to get put right back down again. He gets his chin squeezed once again, and judging by his face here, he's really enjoying it. The big man gets up though and he puts his opponent down with a chokeslam. The Harris brothers pull off another switcheroo, but this Harris brother takes a powerbomb and he gets pinned. This means Sid didn't beat the correct backer Michael Liker, and this little hiccup will come into play down the road. Not tonight, but later in the week on Thunder. On Raw, the Dudley Boys wanted to shake the Hardy Boys' hand after their match last night at the Rumble, but things turn a little tense when Devon and Bubba pull the boys back in while telling them they want a title match. The Hardys need to beat the Outlaws first of all before that can happen, but Bubba tells Matt and Jeff they can call on the Dudley Boys if they need a little help. Bubba and Devon come down the ringside as the match got underway. Bubba said, "We need to get a table," and so the lads found one under the ring and they watched on as Billy jackhammered Matt. Billy called Bubba a fat bastard before tagging in Road Dogg, and when the Outlaws tried to pull off Poetry in Motion, Matt dropkicked Road Dogg before tagging out. Jeff comes into the match for the first time, getting a great response as he takes out both Outlaws. Billy gets sent to the outside as Matt comes in for a twist of fate on the roadie, and the crowd goes nuts when Jeff pulls off a swanton. The Hardys had it won, but Bubba decided to pull the referee out of the ring. So the Dudleys don't care about getting a tag team title shot, they just want to punish the Hardy Boys. Both Matt and Jeff take 3Ds before Bubba brings the table into the ring. Terry tries to help the Hardys out, but Devon grabs her before putting her in the corner. Bubba stops Devon from punching Terry in the face, and Bubba wonders why Devon would punch Terry when there's a perfectly good table set up on the other side of the ring. Terry gets set up for the sit-down powerbomb, and Bubba made sure Terry was totally protected when pulling the move off. It still looked really good, but Bubba made sure he took all the impact as the crowd went nuts again. EMTs run down to help out Terry after a commercial break. Barbara Bush isn't here to offer mouth-to-mouth, but it still looks pretty serious. Kurt Angle cuts a promo next on Raw. On Nitro, we've got Kidman vs Vampiro, the match I've been looking forward to since it was announced at the top of the show. A suplex from Vampiro gets followed up with a big release powerbomb that looked fantastic. The cameras then cut to the audience and, oh my god, guys, it's him. Kidman fights back with a dropkick, but he gets caught out with a sidewalk slam from Vamp. Vampiro then goes upstairs, but he breaks his ass after missing a leg drop. He then gets sent to the outside where Billy wipes him out with a flying crossbody, but Kidman goes to the well one too many times and he gets caught out. Fortunately, he's able to send Vamp into the ring post though. Tori looks on as the commentators continue to perv over Miss Wilson. They haven't stopped since she made her entrance alongside Kidman. Young Billy takes a power slam, he answers with a BK bomb, but he gets put right back down with a DDT. Vampiro continues to dominate with a Uranagi, and it's good to see Vampiro get a chance to really show off what he can do. I know he's had plenty of ring time in WCW, but he's always put in matches where he has to sell a whole lot. This one's pretty different. Kidman does manage to dropkick his opponent, which keeps Vampiro at bay for just a moment, but Vamp comes right back with a sit-down powerbomb, and at this point I think it might be going a bit too well. Vampiro's gonna lose this one, and yeah, my worries were totally justified as Billy Kidman wins the match moments later after a top rope Hurricane Rana. Good stuff on Nitro here. I just wish there was more effort in putting these guys in better storylines that actually mean something. Backstage, Arn Anderson phones someone to confirm they'll be at Thunder to help out Terry Funk. Whoever it is says, "Count me in," and hopefully I'll remember to cover who shows up on next week's episode of Reliving the War. Don't bank on it though. On Raw, Kurt Angle wants to talk about his Royal Rumble match. Angle says he didn't lose last night because the robot monster Grandmaster used an illegal chokehold. Kurt even got confirmation from the Olympic Committee, so last night's match has been struck off the record books and Angle still believes he's undefeated. Tazz is a street thug, he has no integrity, but Kurt says Tazz doesn't need to apologise, it's just the way he was brought up. Tazz's music plays in the arena, and there he is. Tazz is back in Philadelphia. Angle tries to talk down to the robot suplex machine, but Tazz doesn't want to hear it. Angle finds himself in another Tazz mission, and Kurt gets choked out. Officials have to run down to get Tazz to let go, and Steve Blackman didn't help here because he's still traumatized from fans chanting head cheese at him. It's all your fault. The Rock tells Michael Cole to know his role and shut his mouth. He repeats what he said earlier on when he says he doesn't need a tag team partner for tonight's main event. On Raw next, we've got the Godfather and D'Lo taking on the Acolytes. On Nitro, the Total Package has a match against Booker T. This Godfather and D'Lo team aren't getting up to much, are they? Kinda feels like the WWF could do way more with D'Lo, while the Godfather would always remain popular because of his gimmick. Like, D'Lo really doesn't need to be in this team because he's just fine competing on his own. Still, Bradshaw and Godfather slug it out in the corner and Godfather takes a boot to the face. A corner clothesline from Bradshaw gets answered with a clothesline and a leg drop from everyone's favourite pimp. And young D'Lo comes in as Bradshaw performs another big boot. Just realising that we have 3 members of the old Nation of Domination in this match. Those were some good times. Those good times are over as Farouk hits D'Lo with a big old spinebuster, but D'Lo comes back with a sky high. And our match comes to an end when Godfather tags back in. Godfather delivers a hoe train, he then tags in D'Lo. D'Lo doesn't notice Bradshaw getting a blind tag, and Big JBL wins after a clothesline from hell. Tremendous bump from D'Lo right here. The Acolytes win on Raw, and the outcome wasn't all that surprising. On Nitro, Mean Gene tries to interview Vampiro before our next match, and here's what the interview sounds like. Amateur hour on Monday Nitro. Liz tells the fans to give it up for Flexi Lexi, but the fans are chanting, "We want Sting." Remember last week, Tony Schiavone said there's a good chance that Sting could show up tonight. Lex says Sting's sitting at home licking his wounds. He then says no one can stop the path of the total package as he continues to claim his greatness in this sport, and that includes the immortal Hulk Hogan. Interesting, very interesting. Lex struggles to get started here. Booker brings the fight as soon as the bell rings, and it doesn't take long for both men to fight on the outside. Book stays in control, but when the guys get back in the ring, Lex keeps his opponent at bay with a few boots to the head. Booker gets up, he delivers a book end to the total package, but Lex kicks out and Booker gets sent to the outside. This time, it's Luger doing all the damage as the two fight around the ring. Booker takes a bump over the guardrail, and he then gets suplexed back inside the ropes. The match ends with Booker trying to make a comeback. He pulls off an axe kick followed by the Harlem sidekick, but then Liz gets on the apron and Slick Johnson doesn't notice Booker covering Lex. Midnight comes down to get Liz away from the ring, but then Stevie Ray and Big Titty show up and Booker gets taken out with a slapjack. This allows Lex to put Booker in the torture rack, and the total package beats Booker T live on Nitro. The lights then go out, Seek and Destroy plays in the arena, and standing at the entranceway is... it's non-Sting. We can all tell that's a wig, ladies and gents, but the commentators say this is indeed the real Sting. The lights come back on, Sting's disappeared, so it looks like Luger's the one who's gonna get nonced. Not good, not good at all. The audio's now working in the backstage area, thank God, and Mean Gene says wrestling insiders are predicting a big year for Vampiro. Vamp says WCW's the greatest company in the world. Kidman allowed Vampiro to open up some pages in a book that haven't been opened up in a long time, and Vampiro hopes to get a rematch against Billy Kidman on Thunder this week. On Raw, we've got an award ceremony for the Miss Royal Rumble swimsuit contest winner, plus the Big Boss Man takes on Test. Over on Nitro, it's Brian Knobbs and Finlay taking on the Mamalukes. All the women make their entrances on Raw, and this just really feels like a reason to have all the female talent walk down the aisle and get a reaction. You know how this is going to end when all the women get in the ring. Jerry Lawler announces that Mae Young won the swimsuit contest. She gets a bunch of flowers. Jerry says at least the flowers aren't wilted, just like the puppies Mae showed everyone last night on pay-per-view. Mae says at least her puppies are real, unlike the other women in the ring, and then the ladies accuse each other of having fake knockers. This results in a brawl breaking out as the King screams, "Who's got the real puppies?" And in the midst of the chaos, Mae Young gets her hand raised as she lifts her brand new trophy high in the air. Mae then threatens to show off her assets again, but thankfully Mark Henry runs down for the save. Thank God for Mark Henry. Before the next Raw match, the WWF showed footage of Darren Drozdov backstage. Droz was in high spirits talking to the superstars, and JR says Droz will be back in the future. Unfortunately, Darren wouldn't get in the ring again, of course, but he did get hired by WWF as a writer for the website and magazine. Fucking heartbreaking seeing this footage though. The Test vs Bossman match was over in the blink of an eye. Bossman delivered a big boot before sending Test out of the ring. Then, a Test doppelganger showed up to attack Big Bubba, and even though he used a nightstick, he didn't do any damage to Bossman at all. Bossman stands there looking confused as fans quickly find out it's Stevie Richards impersonating Test. And Test thanks Stevie by dropping him with a pump-handled slam. Like last week, Test uses the nightstick to pull off an elbow drop, and Raw takes a commercial break before moving on to the main event. Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
Half crowbar will travel.
Now that your daddy's gone, you walk around here thinking you are someone. But David Flair, you could have had it all, but the unfortunate truth is you suck big balls.
David Flair, Crowbar and Daphne take over the commentary table for this one, and Crowbar's the only one who can at least act like a commentator. David keeps saying Monday Nitro over and over again, while Daphne calls Johnny and Vito the Mamalukes and the Marmalades. Still, this commentary is way better than our usual Nitro commentary, and that's not a knock on Tenay and Heenan. It's absolutely a knock on Tony Schiavone though. Also, I'm totally digging disco sunglasses right here. Imagine the women you'd get wearing those bad boys. Crowbar says he and David are just like the Midnight Express. Crowbar's Bobby Eaton while David's Sweet Stan Lane. This fan right here gave his opinion on Crowbar's assessment, but enough of all this nonsense. We've got a brawl in the ring and the challengers are in control. Standards and practices then appear on the entranceway and Miss Hancock makes her way to ringside all alone. David Flair seems to be a bit mesmerised by her, but check this out. Vito spits on Brad Knobbs and old Knobhead takes it pretty badly. I don't blame him either. Vito gets lit up in the corner, Brian then returns the favour by spitting on him, and David goes a bit mental. You've seen this in the Reliving the War intro, but it's right here when David jumps on the commentary table and he starts dancing at Miss Hancock. No clue why he did this, but I think he's trying to impress Stacey, and you know what? I think it's also working. It's a typical Flair mating call that's been passed down from generation to generation. Miss Hancock leaves, Daphne closely follows, and so does David. But no harm comes to Stacey as Daphne and Flair share a kiss and the two head back to the commentary table. The end of this match was hilarious. This is fucked up. Knobbs uses a chair on Johnny outside the ring, and then he randomly throws the chair at Finlay, which leads to the Mamalukes getting a pinfall win. I've no idea why Brian would throw that chair at such a bad time, but that's what happened, and that's your Nitro semi-main event. Our Nitro main event features Kevin Nash taking on Sid Vicious. On Raw, The Rock's taking on Triple H in The Big Show. No, wait, that's actually wrong because The Rock has a tag team partner tonight. He may have called Rikishi a jabroni before the Royal Rumble, but it's bloodline rules, baby. Big Keish and Rock are teaming up tonight. Triple H and Big Show aren't happy about this, and Big Show takes it out on The Rock. Rocky takes a few boots in the corner, he takes a few headbutts and a big body slam. Big Show does miss an elbow drop, but he plants Rock with a power slam moments later. In comes the WWF Champion, and we could be seeing these two face each other one-on-one at WrestleMania 2000. At least that's what fans thought at this point in time. The Rock delivers a DDT that pleases the fans in attendance, and so Rock tags out and Rikishi goes to work on the Big Show. Big Show gets a big ass as Rikishi comes running at him in the corner. Show goes down following a super kick. Rikishi knocks Triple H off the apron, but this allows Big Show to deliver a sidewalk slam. Triple H tags in and Rikishi gets choked out. The crowd chant for Rocky as Hunter pulls off a facebreaker knee smash. The big man more or less no-sells it and Hunter takes a Samoan drop. We then get the final tags of this match as Rock and Big Show come in. Rock plants Big Show with a DDT, Triple H takes a spinebuster, Rock goes for a rock bottom, but Hunter delivers a low blow. The match comes to an end when the New Age Outlaws run down to attack Rikishi on the outside, and even though the WWF didn't do this kind of thing half as much as WCW, I'm starting to get some 1997 NWO vibes right here. DX have interfered in quite a lot of matches since reforming. The Rock's in trouble. He has no backup as Stephanie passes a steel chair to Triple H. The game's just about to deliver the kill shot, but Cactus Jack hobbles down to the ring and Rock gets saved by his old friend. The game and the Big Show tried to take Rock out tonight, but it's Cactus Jack taking the heels out with his 2x4. Big Show and Triple H get sent out of the ring, and Raw ends with Hunter trying to get on the apron, but he gets taken out with a chair shot. Kevin Nash comes to the ring on Nitro. Someone has a sign that says Lord Master, which Kev acknowledges. And Kevin then says, as president of WCW, he has the ability to change matches and stipulations. So tonight, Sid's still going to face Kev for the championship, but the powerbomb's been outlawed. Both Kevin and Sid use the powerbomb, but it's way too dangerous, apparently. If Sid uses the powerbomb, Kevin Nash will be the new heavyweight champion. And Nash has already sent the NWO girls out to get some cold beverages for, and I quote, one humdinger of a celebration party. Sid makes his entrance, the crowd are definitely behind him tonight, and we start off with a bit of a struggle from Big Sid when pulling off a body slam. Nash takes a leg drop, he gets clotheslined out of the ring, so you know what to expect. A solid minute before the two men get physical again. The match resumes with a test of strength. Nash delivers a knee strike. Big Sid gets brought to the corner for a few more knee strikes, but Sid comes back with a corner clothesline. Nash then decides to head to the outside, but Sid follows him out, though it's Sid who ends up getting sent over the safety barrier. The fans get up close and personal with Sid and Nash as the two fight in the front row, and back in the ring, Big Kev tries to end it with a big exciting sleeper hold. Sid stays in the hold for a pretty long time. Charles Robinson makes sure Kev doesn't have a chokehold applied, unlike that evil robot monster over on Raw, but Robinson ends up taking a bump and we have no referee. Sid puts Nash down with a big boot and a leg drop. No point in covering Nash though, seeing as we have no official. Sid then signals for the powerbomb as the crowd rise to their feet, but Jeff Jarrett shows up holding his guitar. Sid's able to take Jeff out and he takes the guitar away from Double J. Nash gets whacked and Sid plays possum until Charles Robinson wakes up. Tanay calls this a smart move from the big man, while Tony Schiavone says Sid is indeed a very, very smart individual. The referee wakes up, Sid crawls over to Nash, and there you go. We've got a new WCW World Heavyweight Champion and his name is Sid Vicious. Confetti falls from the ceiling. The crowd are really happy with this outcome, but Sid is going to run into a few problems this week on Thunder. I'll let you know what happens in the next episode of Reliving the War. I'm given the point in Nitro this week. I feel like I have to explain myself in detail when I give points to WCW, so here goes. Kidman vs Vampiro was a fun match. Sid winning the world belt provided WCW fans with a much needed feel good moment, and I liked the Sting tease even if it really wasn't Sting standing at the entranceway. Tazz showing up on Raw was fine I guess, even though it was a repeat of the Royal Rumble. The head cheese stuff was funny, I do admit, but Raw didn't have a standout match this week or even a standout promo. X-Pac vs Kane should have been a big deal, but it kinda fell flat, so yeah, I thought Nitro was better and they got it right in terms of match length and limiting their promos this week. Raw dominated the TV ratings with a 6.7, Nitro got a 3.1. Next week on Nitro, Jeff Jarrett acts as company commissioner, seeing as Kevin Nash isn't in the arena. Norman Smiley finds himself some sweet new wrestling gear, and some dude related to David Flair makes his return to World Championship Wrestling. On Raw, Al Snow tries to come up with more gimmicks for his new team alongside Steve Blackman. Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to give us an update on his current health and recovery. And Cactus Jack's invited a few friends to Raw's War, a few radicals who are looking some new employment opportunities. Join me next week, it's going to be a big one. Thank you very much for watching folks, and please take care.